Hi, this is Janelle Posey Green, and you're listening to Bohemian Black Girl Podcast on Green Ink Radio. Hi, welcome back to Bohemian Black Girl Podcast. I have here with me today my husband.
Hello world, how you doing?
Yay. I'm really excited to actually be doing a podcast with him, but I think this topic is a very important one. It's something I feel like a lot of people, families right now that are in the same stage of life as us can relate to. And our topic of the day is
parenting through quarantine.
Yes, parenting through quarantine. So I want to start off by my husband introducing himself.
How you guys doing? My name is Tamar Green. I like food. No. I'm joking. No, seriously.
Yeah, he likes food. Lots and lots of food.
Yeah. So, but seriously, I mean, what we are going to be talking about today, or tonight, should we say, some pretty serious stuff, especially dealing with this current COVID-19 situation. It, just was something that the wind blew in. So
the wind blew in, really?
Literally. So,
oh man,
it caught everybody off guard for one.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just something that we have to make adjustments with. It's just one of those things where you have to be really good with improvisation, and you have to get the bread and milk and build your bunker.
Oh Lord! So we have two children. We have a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old. We have a 4-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter.
Right.
And our 4-year-old son is on the spectrum. He's autistic or has autism. And then our 9-year-old daughter is just a busybody.
Yeah.
So our life has literally been flipped right upside down.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what has been the hardest part of parenting through this quarantine. Don't get us wrong. We're really excited that we get to spend some extra time with our kids. Mm-hmm. We're also very blessed in the way that both of us are still working and our kids are healthy. They're happy. They're at home. But figuring it all out has not been easy. Not even a little bit.
No. If anything, it forces you to become more constructive with your thinking.
Yeah.
In regards to putting together a schedule for the children. Because you got to think, I mean, the kids can be home sometimes during the school year, like if they're not feeling well, little things like that. But we're talking about weeks at a time. So I think right now, one of the things that's been the hardest part of parenting through this so far has been balancing the work schedules with the kids, schoolwork as far as homeschooling.
Oh my God, yeah. I feel like now my husband was a stay-at-home dad for a while, so he had to, could just focus on Marcel. And didn't have to necessarily break out and worry about other things.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I feel like we had more time to actually plan out what are some things that you're going to do while he's home before he started preschool.
Right.
But trying to balance a full private practice and be present for my 4-year-old son and my 9-year-old daughter has been extremely challenging.
Yeah, it's been quite the challenge. I mean, looking at the perspective of, when Marcel was just, a little baby crawling around to the point where he got to be able to start walking.
Now he thinks he's a Ninja Turtle and it's dangling from our chandeliers.
Right. Plus he's picked up some different activities as far as trying to skateboard.
Yeah.
And becoming a gamer.
He is. He's such a cool kid. We're so blessed to have him as our son.
Yeah.
So the hardest part, I think, for us is the balance part. But the reality is, I feel like, we're just basically doing the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
At first, for like the first 2.5, almost 3 weeks, there was nothing for them necessarily to do from the school. So we had to make it up on our own. And a lot of that was just kind of like arts and crafts and other things that we could find on YouTube. And what else did you do, honey?
What I did was I went online and searched for different activities.
Yeah, the science thing you're doing with Gabby was really cool. What was that? You guys were like looking at whales or something.
Yeah, well, what it was is we were looking at fish online, and we were looking at certain fish and the way that they operate and how they conduct themselves during certain points in the day.
Yeah, so basically you gave her science research papers to do, because afterwards she had to write about it and do like little presentations.
Yeah,
I actually gave Gabby a book of African mythology and had her illustrate what she thinks some of the goddesses looked like. I specifically gave her Yemaya and Oshun. And I had her read their descriptions and what, they're all about. And then I had her illustrate in her own exactly what she thinks they look like. And then afterwards I was able to like show her pictures. Like it was pretty cool. It was fun. So, we were able to do that and I feel like we were flying by the seat of our pants for the first 2.5, 3 weeks. But then they rolled out the online school. So, we were only able to have so much flexibility with that, considering that, this is probably going to be the way things are for the rest of probably the school year.
For however long this continues. But, just the fact that we knew that we had to form some kind of game plan.
Yeah.
Once this all started.
Or try to.
Yeah. So we had to really, really think outside the box and, think outside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. I want to pretense this though, because Marcel has a IEP.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know what IEP is, it's individual education plan.
Right.
So because he is on the spectrum, there are certain things that he needed from the school that we felt at home he just was not able to get, specifically socialization. And, of course, he has a sister, he has us, but there's just something about that peer interaction that you can't beat. So, one of the main concerns that I have moving forward is, are we doing enough? Of course, I'm giving us affirmations forever, but I think any caring parent will always question that. Are you doing enough? So, we're just rolling with it. So the second thing that I feel like has been a real struggle for us parenting through the quarantine is
not having a break.
Lord have mercy.
Now, I know a lot of you can identify with this one right here, because it's just like, oh my God, my kids are in my lap now. And at that point, we're not talking about just a weekend break where the kids come home from school on Friday, they're home for Saturday, Sunday, and go back on Monday. We're talking about now with this situation, a full blown, who knows what's going to happen, when they're going to go back.
Yeah.
So, when we realized what was going on, we just looked at each other like the two parents on Home Alone when they were on the airplane. Like, oh my God, did we forget something? And then when you realize, you're just like, oh man, like once it hit us, we were like, oh God. So,
I think that honestly, for me, because I'm working here and I'm parenting here and we're having dinner here and this is playtime here, I think the hardest part for me about the not getting a break is I honestly love going to the office and having that space, that energy for work, for healing and working with, all the people that I work with.
Right.
And then coming home and being able to have that nice separation and leaving work at work and being able to do home at home. And I think the biggest, not the biggest, obviously, but like one of the obstacles that I feel like I'm feeling that strain is everything is here.
Right,
Everything is under one roof. I mean, of course, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful, but everything being under one roof can be very, you could feel like you're kind of stuffed in a sardine can after a while.
And I think, honestly, just to touch on that, I think what it really honestly is it's a test that we're all going through in regards to balance, because, being at home, you're forced to balance your family, you're forced to balance your work life, you're forced to balance everything in one shot for those, 8 to 12 hours. And it's hard for a lot of people to do that because some people have anxiety. Yeah. Some people have, really bad stress. And, like I said, to me, this just seems like we are all being tested.
Oh, definitely.
Now, one funny thing that happened in previous, or like around the time when the whole quarantine started, my wife and I, we were supposed to go out and get a private dance lesson.
Oh, yeah.
At a dance studio. Now, the crazy part about it was, I had come down with a cold, and I told the instructor, okay, let's put it off for the next week. No problem. So the next week comes, and I'm starting to run a little bit behind schedule at work. So I called again.
Yeah, but then the kids got sick.
Right. So once that happened, we said, okay, we're just going to put this off. And then once I felt like we could actually do it, I called the instructor back, said, hey, we may be able to do it this day.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, the news broke out, and we were just like, oh man, you kidding me? So the time we actually have to go out and get the private dance lesson, this whole thing breaks out. The instructor calls me and says, hey, I realize that there is a virus outbreak, if you guys want to take time, to take care of your family and stuff like that, I'll understand. So I felt crushed about it because I was really ready to put my dancing shoes on and go learn the tango or whatever it is we were going to go learn. Like, I was ready to go. And that was part of our introduction to actually getting a break and finally getting back into our rhythm of, being alone again and having fun again.
And having the kids in school and us not having to worry where they were and they were taken care of.
Exactly.
And we could be doing something just for us. So, yeah, I think that's a good point about people who are in relationships, about trying to still carve out that time during this crisis, if possible, make it happen. It's possible. Anything you want to do can happen. It doesn't have to happen the way it would if we weren't in this crisis, but it can happen. You just have to plan for it.
You have to. I'm going to tell you like this. I mean, just learning from the situation, when the timing is there, or you have a window of opportunity to take a break from, everything as far as work and kids and stuff like that. When you have the opportunity, seize it. Yeah. Don't waste it. Don't be like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do. No.
Yeah. The dishes can wait. Take a nap. I'm serious.
Exactly.
I think that moving from going in office therapy to going over the phone and video therapy, it's so energy draining, more than I actually anticipated it would be. So I'm exhausted. I mean, you know that. I've been taking naps like I'm just completely drained.
You know what? I honestly, I feel like when we have a situation where, things are dying down and people are actually able to come together again and start resuming activities in public again, I just feel like it's going to be extra outside. For real. I think it's going to be... People are going to be dressed to the most. Exactly.
I know I'll be one of them.
Not even caring anymore. You know what? We don't know when something like this is going to happen again, so you got to live it up. And I think that
oh my God,
the economy is going to be nuts when it all starts up again.
Oh, probably.
It's going to look like a parade outside. Like, people are going to be celebrating for
no reason.
No reason.
It's Wednesday. Yep. Let's have a parade.
Just because. I can touch that again. Woo, you know what I'm saying? I just think
I hope not, actually, because that's probably what got us into this mess to begin with.
Who knows, though? Who really knows? I just think people are going to really go nuts when this is over.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I can't even lie. I'm already looking at, okay, it's gonna be warm, probably. I'm hoping it'll be warm when we're finally able to go outside. Well, I can wear this outfit. That'll look cute. My hair will look like this. So, okay. Yeah, I'll probably be one of those people with the parade.
Help us all.
Seriously.
All right.
So our next kind of thing that we wanted to talk about when it comes to having a hard time being quarantined with the kids would be, getting supplies for home. I feel like a hard time probably isn't the better word to say. It's not a hard time. It's about like, okay, our kids eat so much fruit and peanut butter. It's ridiculous. I've never seen a kid go through this much peanut butter in my life when it comes to our son and apples.
Well, yeah, I mean, the family as a whole goes through. I wouldn't say you necessarily, but because, I like to have peanut butter protein shakes sometimes just to cut time. But the thing is, it is or has become a lot harder to get supplies for home because
we don't want to go out. So it's not that, honestly, we buy in bulk most of the time and we're very prepared usually anyway. So we don't really ever need that much. But then it's like the things that we do need that we find were essential, especially since our son, he fixates on foods. So anybody who has children, I think sometimes toddlers do this period, but those of you who have kids who are on the spectrum, I'm so sure you can relate that there are like maybe 5 or 6 foods, if you're lucky, that your child will eat. And once you run out of that, it's like your world has come to an end with that for that child because they only want to eat those things.
Yeah, they get into a groove. And they start to put those things in their daily routine. So it's just like anybody. When you have a place setting at the table and you see something out of place, you're like, oh my God, or part of your routine doesn't go as planned. Yeah, you're just like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to improvise?
Yeah, parenting, Marcel, I mean, it's not that, I feel like it's not as complicated as I probably make it out to be, but it definitely has its challenges because he is on the spectrum. Right. He was used to doing things a certain way. Mm-hmm. And with him having a routine, in the same routine, something small, like one time I remember I was putting him on the bus and he couldn't find like this toy that he usually goes with to school, like this little toy, and it was like the world is over. One time he couldn't find a shoe and he had to wear a different pair of shoes and it was just a mess. So, I feel really bad for our kids because they've all of a sudden had to uproot their whole entire schedules and now are kind of trying to manage this new normal that we have, especially our daughter, because she is very, very, very active, and she's also very social. She loves socializing, which brings us to our next topic about what has been challenging for us is the kids going outside and having to avoid their friends. I feel like such like the mean mom because our neighbors are like we have a really close neighborhood. And we typically we have cookouts and things like that, right? So usually when our kids go outside, all the kids are used to saying, "Oh, we're gonna go play with Gabby," you know. And now I'm like the
you're like Monk.
Yeah, I'm like, don't touch that. Don't stand 6 feet apart. I'm sorry, honey. They're gonna have to come inside because you guys aren't. I can't. So we've been keeping them inside, and I know it's been driving.
Crazy. I wouldn't say it's just tough for the kids. I would assume that's tough for some of the parents too. Because you know how people in the neighborhood you want to go outside, you want to socialize with other adults. Which I'm not saying you can't, but when you go outside, you see some adults and you see a crowd of them, not even a crowd, but just like 3 or 4. You're just like, oh my God, I know I want to go over there, but I probably shouldn't because you just never know who you might contract the virus from. You don't know who's carrying germs. You don't know what's going on. You don't know anything. So, you see,
you might have the virus and you don't even know.
Right. And you just, you go out there and you see kids playing stuff like that. And even with our kids, my daughter, very active, like we mentioned before, and she wants to ride a skateboard. She wants to do this. She wants to do that. And sometimes
build a fort in the backyard.
Right.
She
sometimes the neighborhood kids come knock on the door. Hey, can she come outside? And sometimes you tell them, hey, listen, at this stage, it's just not safe to do that.
Yeah.
And with her underlying condition of asthma, it just makes things
10 times
little bit more tougher.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we have to be a little bit extra cautious, a little bit extra more careful.
So parents, if you are listening, back up the other parents. You're not mean.
Right.
If your kids are going to probably give you an attitude, because I know Gabby is giving us an attitude, but you know what? I'd rather her be alive to give me that attitude than her be having complications that I could have avoided by putting my foot down and keeping her, social distancing. So please, please, please start following those temporary rules. I'm hoping they're temporary.
No, that's why, honestly, at one point I used to kind of down a lot of the social media apps and stuff that have been, out there for the kids. But, I'm starting to come to terms with the fact that, hey, some of these are needed at this stage because, kids are FaceTiming with each other and stuff like that. And they're having fun with it. So my whole thing is, as long as it's not leading to anything destructive and the kids are able to be productive with it and, keep in touch with each other, go for it, because it's a way to for kids to keep the communication going and keep the ball rolling until they can see each other safely in public. So
our child has the Messenger app for Facebook, and everything that she does on there, we can see it, like all the little pictures and funny little faces they make. A copy sent to the the person that you allow them. Again, you give permission for them to talk to, and you get a copy of it too. So I think that you're right. Those little apps now are definitely in handy. Yeah. So we've talked enough about the things that are the hardest for us. Now we're going to switch gears and really talk about what's been working.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to talk about is shopping in bulk. Now, we're not being greedy. We're not one of those people. I promise you, if you come here, you will not find a whole, a trove of toilet paper.
No, we don't have a basement full of products with a bunch of coupons.
We're not doing that.
Scissors.
We only, even when I did coupon it, and I still do sometimes, it's mostly electronic coupons, not the paper ones. But my point is, we buy what we need. It's not, okay, we're going to buy 3 or 4 months worth of this stuff. And I can understand why some people would do that, because they're worried. They're thinking that, okay, everything's going to, go up in flames, so I need everything now.
Yeah, some people expect the worst, the absolute worst. So.
But, I think we do a good job. We did a good job anyway of buying at least 2 to 3 weeks worth of stuff, because of the fact that our schedules are so busy that we knew anyway before this situation, we don't have time to be going back and forth to the store like that.
Right.
So that's been working for us, kind of keeping up with that and trying to minimize our trips to go get all the apples.
And not fighting people over toilet paper.
Not fighting people over toilet paper.
So, that's been a big plus.
Yeah, I'm not fighting anybody over toilet paper. So the next thing that has been working for us is letting go of expectations. I think that's more like me. I'm more of the, it has to be this way, and having the schedule on the board, and that's kind of gone out the window, because honestly, we are doing the best we can.
Yeah, well, plus you don't want to have too much strain inside the household, because you're already looking at it okay, everyone's home. We know the basics as far as having the necessities done. At some point, dishes got to be clean online. You know what I'm saying? Just the little things that you do during the week anyway. Mm-hmm. But at this stage, it's just okay, let's not put too much pressure on each other.
Yeah.
Let's try to be as leisure as we can, and let's handle what we know should be done at certain times.
Absolutely. I think that this schedule change has been so much for our kids, because, again, we're all very much tied to, okay, we know what we're doing almost every hour of the day. Yeah. That for us to try to, keep trying to switch it up on them and giving them new schedules, and wasn't going to work anyway.
Plus, getting rest.
Yeah.
That's another big thing, because, like I said, again, the kids are home, and they're used to getting up. So most of them at 6 o'clock in the morning, get themselves together for school by 7.
Yeah.
And, adults, we have to be up with them. So, with me, I have to get up early anyway. And I remember at some points I would get up early and think, oh my God, I got to get my daughter up for school.
Yeah.
But then it dawned on me, wait a minute.
She can sleep in a little bit.
Yeah, she can sleep in right now. And then, she has her online work to do. So,
yep.
That's just been one thing where I'm just okay, I need to let that go.
Yeah.
We've
been doing that with her. The deal is she gets her work done, between 9 and 4. So she'll like say if she wakes up at 10, okay, as long as she gets her work done, you know, the time frame that they're supposed to that day, which is like after 4, then she has the rest of the time for herself or whatever she wants to do. But she doesn't have access to all the gadgets that she normally would have access to until after she completes her work. So now that we're about 4 weeks in, you know, things have settled a little bit. So I'm able to now kind of turn and help her.
Right. The chemistry is starting to gel. It's just like an actual team.
Definitely.
You know, you have to find your strengths and weaknesses. And once you can pinpoint your weaknesses, that's when your team truly starts to gel. You find out what works for you and what does not work for you. So, you know, like I said, we had to implement a system where, okay, we realize that the day really gets going at certain points for everybody. So we have to put a deadline or cap on the day at a certain point almost for everybody to say, hey, we need to have most of our business done by this time so we can try to enjoy ourselves as a family and build that family structure.
Absolutely.
So that's just been one of the things that have been working for us.
I think also, you know, like you said, not putting too much strain on the kids.
Right.
Because they've already had so many. Like Gabby told me the other day, I miss my friends. And I'm like, I know they miss you too. You know, those types of things, you know, the remorse, not remorse, like the grief is what I wanted to say. The grief that they are now feeling because they didn't really get to plan to say goodbye. You know, at the end of the year, usually you get to say goodbye to your friends, have a nice summer.
Right.
But this was not that. They just, you know, now we were in school, now we're not. So,
right. And then the crazy part is, you know, some of these kids, you know, build relationships with each other naturally during the course of the school year. And it's just like, boom, like the snap of a finger. And it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen this person in so long.
Definitely.
But, like, you know, back to what I was saying as far as, what we covered as far as letting go of expectations, you know, it's like the kids ask, okay, you know, when am I going back to school? Or when am I going to do this? And, you know, sitting them down and talking to them about, hey, you got to let that go right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to let that expectation go because we're going through something right now.
And we don't know. We don't have, this is one time mommy and daddy don't have some answer that we can just give them.
Right.
You know, we have to, we're all actively experiencing this at the same time.
Yeah.
So the next thing that I feel like is going really well for us, and you do too, because we made this list beforehand, is taking turns with the kids. Because, like we said, parent burnout is a real thing.
Real, and you all know that.
Yeah.
For those parents listening.
So, single moms, single dads, I seriously salute you because I have no clue how you do it. I really don't. And because me and Tamar definitely are tired. We're very tired, and there's 2 of us.
Yeah.
So we definitely will tag team. Sometimes he'll come home, he'll be tired, he'll eat, go knock out for like a little bit, and then wake up. And then seriously, when he wakes up, I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like that. And I honestly, I'm okay with that. As long as we're both getting sleep, we're able to kind of at least be functional for our kids.
Yeah.
So I think that's working for us. And the last thing that we collaboratively agreed on that is working for us is being creative about keeping them occupied.
That, you know what? That's one of the things where I really realized, okay, you have to learn to be a creative person, even outside of, your business life, because I have never juggled so much fruit in my life.
Literally. I want to say one of the things that he came up with as an activity for them, like, what was it, yesterday?
Yeah.
Was juggling oranges. It was so funny to see the kids with Tamar juggling orange. There was oranges everywhere, but they were having fun. It was keeping them occupied, keeping them engaged. I remember doing that in gym class, actually, like 6th grade, by the way.
You know what? But I mean, it got to the point where I'm just like, okay, you did this, you did that, and the kids start catching on like, hey, we already did this, and then, you know how kids are. Hey, we already did this, we already did that. We need to move on to something new.
Yeah.
So at that point, I mean, I got a little hungry. I'm looking at the fruit basket. I said, hey, you know what, you guys want to see something? Picked up the oranges, started juggling them. They're
So
like,
funny.
hey, yay.
Such a dad.
And it became one of the things that caught on, and the kids tried to juggle fruit.
Yes,
so,
they did. It was so awesome.
Between that and learning some skateboarding tricks.
I know them and the skateboard. Our dining room has become a makeshift skate park.
Yes. We haven't built the half pipe yet, but I'm trying to figure out a way to do it safely.
Please do that downstairs. I'm trying to think, what else did we do so far that I feel like is out the box for the kids that we've kind of like, oh, we could, this is a little, we've been cooking with them, teaching Gabby and Marcel. Ooh, since this little baby boy loves to have so many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I taught him how to make his own. Yes, I did. Of course, I'm there to supervise, but he's been making his own little peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So I feel like that's some of the good things that have come from this.
I taught, I think it was like the other day, I was sitting around with the kids and we were watching a show, and I don't know, I tried to teach them how to do armpit farts.
Oh my God, Tamar. Of course you did. Hey. I've taught Gabby sewing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think some of those life skills that they're not really getting in school is something that they're able to do here. Even the fun things that you're doing with them, you're definitely the more fun parent.
Well, I mean, try to play tag with them.
I know you do.
The
it's
tickle
awesome.
monster. Just just little stuff that's going to keep them going. Try to build forts on the couch and just like little things.
Little pumpkins.
Right,
happy.
Little things that I think the kids should be doing. And it's become quite the experience. It's something that most of us are going to be able to have stories about when we talk to other parents.
That's so true.
And it's just been something that a lesson to learn from. I think this is something that is going to have us prepared moving forward towards the future, because if something like this was to reoccur, and I'm not saying it will, knock on wood, but should something like this rise again, I think that we'll be better prepared because we are learning more about ourselves as we go along with this.
Definitely. I also think that when the kids finally grow up and they realize what actually happened, I'm hoping that these things that we are putting in place for them, like you teaching them armpit farts and juggling, and me teaching Gabby to sew and doing little dances with the kids and all those kinds of things. I hope that they just remember those things. Yeah. I feel like we've done a good job.
Be part of the core memories.
Mm-hmm, right. If that's what they remember. Right. So with that said, please just know that whatever you're doing enough. Don't beat yourself up over not being able to keep up with schedule.
The expectation.
For real. Do yourself and your kids a favor. And if you have a significant other, take turns. Allow yourselves to take naps. The dishes can wait. And just enjoy this time in balance.
Exactly. Balance yourself. Take your time.
Absolutely. So this is it. This is our podcast. I hope you guys tune in for the next one. And take care of yourselves and stay healthy. Bye.
Adios.